Greetings, friends, and welcome to Captain Samuel's Sigils. I live in a rural area, and the closest bookstores to me are an hour and a half away. And yesterday, the magical summer stars all aligned, and I was able to go on a day book trip. I visited 3 bookstores and got some really good stuff. I'll be showing it off in order from least to most epic cover art. We're starting off with The Wind Wails of Ishmael by Philip Jose Farmer. Now, I like Philip Jose Farmer a lot. I think he's weird and imaginative with exciting prose. And this is about a science fiction retelling of Moby Dick. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, I have books 1 and 3 in this series. And this is book 2, The Madripoor Chronicles by Robert Silverberg. It's a science fantasy series. And one of the themes in this particular book haul is a lot of covers with goofy helmets or hats. And so this guy looks like he's ready for rugby on the high seas. Continuing our strange hat parade, we've got Babel 17 by Samuel R. Delany. Now, this is a classic book about a language that alters the consciousness of the people that learn it. And it's lauded on book 2. I'm looking forward to reading it. But yeah, I'm not feeling that silly hat. I feel like the protagonist could have had a more dignified choice of headgear. But that's a cool pick. And then again, we've got Joe Haldeman's The Forever War with great cover art, but a goofy helmet. I'm not really sure why the guy's wearing sunglasses under his helmet visor. I feel like you could just tint the helmet visor itself. And the soldier's face kind of looks like a baby. Maybe they did that on purpose because it's about a soldier who travels through time repeatedly while the rest of the world ages, and the war is ultimately pointless. But yeah, not really feeling that goofy headgear. I am glad that I got this book, though. For my Diversity Reading Challenge, this is one of the ones that I want to read for Veterans Day in November. So that was a cool find. Joe Haldeman's The Forever War. Now here's one I haven't heard of before. This is Utopia Minus X by Rex Gordon. And this is a little bit similar to The Forever War. It is about a soldier who travels forward in time, and while he's in the future, Earth loses the battle against a tyrannical dictatorship, which declares itself a utopia called the Perfect World. And so he gets back in time, discovers that the good guys have lost, basically, and meets someone named X. The problem of saving not only himself, but humanity. So that sounds like an interesting read, Utopia Minus X. Check that out. Now, these are books that I loved as a kid and a teenager. The Prydain Chronicles by Lord Alexander. This is a fantasy series based on Celtic culture, and it's got all 5 of the original books, plus an extra book that kind of expands the world. So that's a cool find, and I'm also hoping that I can share these with my kids and see if they'll get into them as well. This is a book that I started listening to as an audiobook, but the narration was a little bit slow for my pace. But now I can finish it in book form. Storm Over Warlock by Andre Norton. It's about this guy who uses these genetically modified Wolverine animal companions to fight off an alien invasion. So that should be good. Storm Over Warlock by Andre Norton. Now this next author I wanted to try, Jack L. Chalker. I couldn't figure out where to start because every book was labeled book 3 in this series, book 5 in that series. And then I would look at a book and it would say, this is book 1 in the other series. And then I would pick up that very same book and it would say, actually, this is the 3rd book in a different series. And I was like, what? Where do you start with Jack Chalker? But I found something that I'm pretty sure is going to be a standalone read, and that is The Demons at Rainbow Bridge. And this is about 3 different alien factions who are often at odds but have to figure out how to work together to stop these gigantic, cataclysmic-causing demons that get released from ice. So that sounds cool. We'll give Jack L. Chalker a try. Now, I like this book too. The Overlords of War by Gerard Klein, translated by John Brunner. And it says, this story concerns the adventures in time of a gladiator who eventually comes to fight for peace. That sounds really good. Looking forward to that. The Overlords of War. So this is another Jack L. Chalker book that I was able to parse as the beginning of a series. This is Lords of the Middledark, Book 1 of The Rings of the Master. And apparently this is about a post-apocalyptic science fantasy world where the computer that controls everything has its microchips dispersed and disguised as gold rings. And so the heroes have to go out and round up those rings of power. Yeah, that sounds cool. Another opportunity to try some Jack L. Chalker. Now, the last time I went to this bookstore, I passed on this particular book, but I did a little more research on it, and nobody's talking about it on BookTube. Nobody had any Goodreads reviews on it. And I don't know if this book cover is great or awful. Maybe it's both. It's a paradox. This is The Runts of 61 Cygni C by James Grazier. A little bit of cyclopean toplessness there for you. And apparently it is about this species of aliens that just party all day long and want to just chill and have sex and vegetate and play childish games. And so these astronauts have to figure out how to extricate themselves from that situation. Kind of reminds me of that episode of Star Trek where they go to that planet where there's those vines that puff the dust in everybody's face and everyone gets all lax like hippies and Spock's acting the fool. That's a good episode, so I'm hoping it'll be a little bit like that. The Runts of 61 Cygni C. This is another book I passed up on last time and did more research on it and decided, okay, I'll give this a try. Weeping May Tarry by Raymond E. Jones and Lester Del Rey. Apparently this deals with the conflict between Christianity and an indigenous alien religion, and the astronauts that crash on this planet have to decide which one of those is going to give them the most solace and leave the planet in the best condition. I think, even after researching this book and reading the back a couple times, I'm still not quite sure what it's about. I think it's going to be one of those ones that is very subtle and complicated, and you really have to read it to figure it out. It's kind of hard to give the gist of it. But that should be an interesting read. Cool cover. Dude carrying a cross through the desert up to a spaceship. Wowzers. Okay, now we've got some Ray Bradbury stories. The Golden Apples of the Sun. And it might be a little hard to tell, but that skull in the background has got like snakes and stuff coming out of the skulls. That's classic heavy metal iconography. So that should be fun. Now we're down to the top 3 books for cover art. This is Anne McCaffrey's The Ship Who Sang. Got that rocket ship with the volcanoes exploding and the beautiful woman in the background. Probably shouldn't psychoanalyze why that cover is so awesome. But anyway, this book is about a woman who has her consciousness uploaded into a ship. And she has to figure out some existential crises. That should be good. And this is a series I hear about a lot on BookTube. It is Heliconia Spring by Brian Aldiss. It is about a planet where the seasons are unfathomably long. And this is the first book in the series. And I really like that cover art there. It's just very simple and beautiful. Just the plant coming through the ice. I live in the northeastern United States, and so let me tell you, the winters are long, cold, and dark. So I really appreciate that iconography right there. Very nice. And then the top book for epic cover art is The Gardens of the Shaped by Sheila Finch. This is about scientists who were exiled from Earth because they were using genetic modification to create their own hybrid species. And so they get exiled to another planet, and there they kind of let their imaginations run wild and create all these critters and let them run loose. And this is about the ramifications of that. And this is the top cover art because I think the woman on the cover looks like my girlfriend. She doesn't quite agree with that, but I don't know. If a book has a simile of your girlfriend on it, you pretty much have to put it on the top of the epic cover art list. Am I right? All right. Anyways, that's the summer book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're doing well. Stay cool. Have fun.